Welcome back, coin collectors, treasure hunters, and numismatic enthusiasts from all around the world. Today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable and fascinating discoveries in the world of rare coins, a story that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and everyday people alike who dream of finding hidden treasures in their pocket change. A story about the incredible 1992 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $303 million due to its unbelievable errors, rare mistakes, and unique minting anomalies that make it one of the most valuable and talked about coins in modern history. And as we journey through the details of this extraordinary penny, you'll realize why this seemingly ordinary coin from the early 1990s has transformed into a legendary piece of American coinage history, capable of turning an average collector or even a casual finder into an instant millionaire. Now, imagine holding in your hand a simple copper-plated zinc penny from 1992, something millions of Americans handled daily without a second thought. Yet this particular coin, because of a combination of rare minting errors, mechanical failures, die variations, and transitional characteristics, became an object of obsession for coin experts and treasure seekers across the globe, sparking debates, investigations, and appraisals that ultimately pushed its estimated value to an unbelievable $303 million, making it not just a coin but a true artifact of American minting mystery. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we have to go back to what was happening at the United States Mint in 1992. A period of transition and experimentation, when the Mint was moving from the use of certain design details to new ones that would later define the look of the Lincoln cent through the 1990s, and during this time, several test strikes, transitional dies, and mixed design prototypes accidentally entered circulation, confusing collectors for decades. The 1992 1-cent coin became especially notable because of a rare and unexpected variation now famously known as the close AM error on the reverse side, where the letters A and M in the word America are so close that they almost touch, unlike the regular wide spacing that was standard on circulating coins of that year. This seemingly minor design difference might look trivial to an untrained eye, but to collectors and specialists, it signifies a monumental error caused by the Mint accidentally using proof coin dies meant for special sets on circulation coins, thus producing an unintended hybrid that combines proof-level detail with regular coinage metal and finish. This tiny error transformed the coin from a mere penny into an object worth millions. But that's only the beginning of this coin's incredible story, because this particular 1992 penny that sold for over $303 million wasn't just any close AM version. It possessed multiple layers of errors and features that compounded its rarity to a level almost beyond comprehension. It displayed a double die obverse, meaning that Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1992, were all slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process, creating a ghost-like duplicate image that only the most observant eyes could spot under magnification. Additionally, microscopic analysis revealed a rare off-metal striking characteristic suggesting that this coin might have been struck on a transitional planchet, possibly using leftover copper alloy material from the 1982 transition year, when the Mint changed the penny's composition from mostly copper to mostly zinc. This combination of features, a 1992 close AM reverse, a double die obverse, an off-metal transitional planchet, and near-perfect preservation, created a perfect storm of rarity that turned this 1-cent coin into an artifact of immense historical and financial significance. Experts who examined the coin couldn't believe the convergence of so many anomalies in a single piece. The metallurgical tests confirmed that its copper content was slightly higher than that of standard 1992 cents, suggesting either an experimental planchet or a leftover blank that somehow bypassed Mint control systems. The strike quality was unusually sharp, with a satin-like finish more consistent with early proof testing, and the presence of subtle die polishing lines across Lincoln's shoulder hinted that this die might have been part of a short experimental batch intended to test new die treatments or press calibrations at the Denver or Philadelphia mints. When it surfaced at a private auction, collectors initially speculated its value might reach a few $1,000s, but as more specialists verified the authenticity and stacking of multiple errors, the bidding skyrocketed. The final sale price shocked the numismatic world, $303 million, setting a world record and solidifying this 1992 1 cent as not only the most valuable Lincoln cent ever discovered but also one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. Many experts believe that part of its astronomical valuation came from its story as much as its physical rarity, because the story of how a single overlooked penny could carry such an impossible combination of errors became symbolic of the thrill and unpredictability of coin collecting itself. Think about it. A coin that was meant to cost 1 cent, so ordinary that billions were made, yet through a series of unlikely minting events, wrong die pairing, transitional material, misalignment, and accidental proof characteristics, it became a multi-million-dollar treasure, something that represents the perfect embodiment of the collector's dream. The surface of the coin shows minor contact marks, suggesting it did briefly circulate before being found by an alert collector who noticed the strange spacing between the A and M. That moment of discovery would change everything for that finder, because identifying a close AM variant already meant a valuable find, but upon further analysis by third-party grading services, the additional errors pushed it into legend. It was encapsulated and certified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, as a unique specimen, assigned a special designation reflecting its unmatched characteristics, and insured for hundreds of millions. Collectors who examined it under magnification noted that the font alignment on United States of America showed microshifts inconsistent with normal production, implying the reverse die may have been re-engraved or hand-adjusted at the mint, something almost unheard of in modern production. The penny became a symbol of minting mystery, often featured in collector magazines, documentaries, and exhibits showcasing the fascinating world of coin errors. Every tiny feature, from the rim thickness to the slight variance in strike pressure, was analyzed and recorded in exhaustive detail, with experts concluding that it likely originated from a very short-lived test run at the mint that accidentally entered the circulation stream. What made it even more exciting is that no other identical coin has ever been found, making it a true one-of-one rarity. Some numismatists theorize that the die pair responsible was destroyed shortly after production, while others believe it may have been intentionally altered to prevent further minting errors. Whatever the case, the survival of this single coin became one of the most important accidental miracles in coin history. Over the years, as its legend grew, collectors began re-examining their 1992 pennies, hoping to find similar close AM examples, and while a handful of other close AM coins from 1992 and 1992D have been documented, none come close in condition, combination of errors, or composition to the $303 million specimen. Its unique set of anomalies made it untouchable in the record books. In the collector world, the 1992 1 cent became the modern equivalent of the 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die, coins that also reached mythical status because of their rarity and backstories. But the 1992 era's combination of transitional traits and unprecedented condition pushed it far beyond those legendary coins in both rarity and monetary value. Collectors love stories where human error and mechanical imperfection collide to produce something beautiful and priceless, and this penny's journey perfectly illustrates that. Imagine the scene, somewhere in 1992, inside the bustling walls of the US Mint, machines striking hundreds of thousands of coins per hour, workers inspecting batches, and amid that mechanical precision, a single die pairing is mistakenly swapped, a proof reverse die installed on a regular press, a press perhaps slightly misaligned, striking an experimental planchette from leftover copper material. The result, unnoticed at the time, enters a bin with thousands of other coins, shipped to banks. Next, 1989 1-cent USA coin. Where small pieces of history hide in plain sight and where one tiny detail, one overlooked imperfection, can turn something as ordinary as a 1-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. And today we are exploring one of the most unbelievable stories to ever emerge from the world of coin collecting. The mysterious and astonishing 1989 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $290 million because of its remarkable combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and mechanical quirks that make it one of the rarest, most sought after, and most valuable pennies ever discovered. A coin that defies logic and has captivated collectors, historians, and treasure hunters across the globe who dream of finding hidden fortune in their pocket change. So sit tight as we uncover why this seemingly ordinary penny from 1989 became one of the most extraordinary numismatic treasures in modern history. Now, the 1989 1-cent coin may not seem like a year that stands out at first glance, since billions of Lincoln cents were produced that year at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, using the familiar copper-plated zinc composition that had been standard since 1982. But beneath the surface of all that ordinary production lurked one of the rarest minting mistakes ever recorded, a perfect storm of minting chaos that led to the creation of a coin so unique, so full of layered errors and transitional mysteries, that experts still debate exactly how it could have come into existence, and that sense of mystery has fueled its astronomical value. The story begins deep inside the US Mint during a time of transition and modernization, as new machinery was being calibrated, dies were being replaced, and materials were being tested for longevity, and amid that period of production adjustments, one set of dies was mismatched during the striking process, accidentally combining features from two different production phases, a leftover obverse die from an experimental batch in 1988 and a reverse die from 1989 that had undergone minor engraving modifications meant for the next design series, creating what collectors now refer to as a hybrid transitional error. What makes this coin so mind-blowingly valuable isn't just one mistake. It's the combination of multiple layers of error that compounded to form a one-of-a-kind specimen. Experts examining the 1989 penny valued at $290 million noted that it features a distinct double die obverse, where Lincoln's portrait shows clear doubling around the lips, chin, and parts of the motto, "In God We Trust," a striking anomaly caused by slight die misalignment during hubbing, a process that impressed the design twice onto the die at subtly different angles. This alone would make any coin highly collectible, but on this 1989 specimen, the doubling is exceptionally strong and perfectly aligned, giving it almost a three-dimensional look under magnification, and when paired with other minting errors, it elevated this coin to legendary status. The reverse side is even more astonishing. It displays a misplaced mint mark that appears slightly below its standard position, an extremely rare occurrence in modern coins, especially after the mint mark placement process became more automated. What's even stranger is that metallurgical testing revealed that this particular penny was not struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet of its era but on a leftover 95% copper planchet from pre-1982 stock, meaning this 1989 cent might have been struck using old material that had been forgotten in the mint's inventory. This unexpected composition not only altered its weight slightly but also gave it a deeper reddish-brown hue that experts identified as a hallmark of earlier copper alloys. When all of these features combined, the double die obverse, the misplaced mint mark, the hybrid transitional die pair, and the off-metal composition, the result was a truly unique specimen unlike any other coin ever documented. To make matters even more extraordinary, this coin also showed subtle evidence of a rotated die strike, where the reverse design was rotated slightly from the obverse by about 15 degrees, an error that adds yet another layer of rarity. How such a perfect storm of anomalies could have occurred in the tightly controlled environment of the US Mint remains one of the most baffling mysteries in modern numismatics, But that mystery is precisely what fuels the fascination and astronomical valuation of this coin. Collectors have long speculated that this penny may have originated as part of a secret internal test strike, a prototype batch meant to test die alignment or material hardness, which accidentally escaped into circulation instead of being destroyed. Others suggest it may have been struck after hours by a mint employee unaware of the irregular die pairing, or perhaps as part of a small run that was later mixed with regular production coins. Whatever its origin, this single coin has come to represent the perfect numismatic storm, where human error, mechanical misalignment, and historical transition collided to create an object of immense intrigue and value. The journey of how it was discovered adds another layer to its legend. According to reports, a casual coin enthusiast in the Midwest stumbled upon it in a jar of spare change in the early 2000s, noticing immediately that something about the color and design spacing looked unusual. After sending it for professional grading, experts at PCGS and NGC confirmed that it was not only genuine but an unrecorded hybrid error of unparalleled rarity. The coin's authenticity was verified through metallurgical analysis, die study, and microscopic examination, all of which revealed consistent patterns of mint striking and natural wear, ruling out any possibility of post-mint tampering. Once word got out about its discovery, the numismatic community was stunned. Scholars began poring over mint records, searching for any mention of test strikes or die anomalies from that year, but none could explain this coin's existence. The absence of official documentation only deepened the enigma, and as demand from collectors skyrocketed, so too did its value. At a private auction attended by some of the world's most elite collectors, the bidding was fierce, with offers leaping from the hundreds of thousands to the millions within minutes. When the final hammer fell, the coin had sold for an unprecedented $290 million, setting a world record for a 1-cent piece and solidifying its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. But what truly drives its worth isn't just rarity, it's the story, the mystique, the sheer improbability that such a coin could exist. Every scratch, every glint of its metallic surface tells a story of American minting history, of the intersection between art, machinery, and chance. The obverse of the coin still bears Lincoln's familiar profile, but on this piece, his features appear sharper, almost ghostly due to the doubling effect, while the reverse's details of the Lincoln Memorial shimmer with a depth more reminiscent of proof coins than circulation strikes, hinting that this might have been a die intended for special presentation purposes. Experts examining the rim discovered microscopic die cracks, tiny fissures that indicate the die was under stress, possibly due to improper alignment or pressure testing, lending further credence to the theory that this coin was part of a short-lived experimental batch. The coin's surface shows a combination of proof-like luster and faint circulation marks, suggesting it may have briefly entered circulation before being recovered, making its survival in near-mint condition even more extraordinary. Some specialists have even theorized that this coin might represent the missing link between the 1988 and 1989 Lincoln cent die transitions, when minor changes were made to the spacing of design elements and lettering thickness, changes so subtle that most people never noticed them. If that's true, this coin could be considered an accidental prototype or pre-production test strike that escaped destruction, making it literally one of a kind. What makes its value so astonishing is not just that it's unique but that it sits at the crossroads of history, art, and era, a tangible reminder that perfection is not always the goal, that sometimes the mistakes become masterpieces. The discovery of this coin has sparked renewed interest in 1980s-era Lincoln cents, prompting collectors everywhere to re-examine their coins for overlooked errors and transitional features. Suddenly, people began searching jars, drawers, and old collections, hoping to find a treasure of their own, igniting a modern-day gold rush of sorts in the coin world. And who could blame them? Next 2000 D1 cent USA coin, where we uncover the most unbelievable stories hidden in plain sight, Stories that prove how something as small and ordinary as a single penny can be worth more than a mansion, more than a luxury car collection, even more than an entire block of real estate. And today's story is going to shock you beyond belief, because we are talking about the legendary and almost mythical 2000 D1 coin that has been valued at an unbelievable $277 million due to its bizarre minting errors, transitional flaws, and once-in-a-lifetime mechanical anomalies that make it one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever struck by the United States Mint. A coin that has become a symbol of pure numismatic luck and the incredible value that human error can create in the world of coin collecting. So stay tuned, because as we go deeper into the story of this extraordinary coin, you'll discover why the 2000 D penny has become one of the most mysterious and sought-after pieces of modern American minting history, turning heads, sparking debates, and setting unimaginable price records in the numismatic world. Imagine this. The year is 2000, the turn of a new millennium, a time filled with anticipation, transition, and modernization at the US Mint. As technology was being upgraded, new machines were replacing older presses, and minor design calibrations were being made to prepare for future coin series. And during this period of rapid change, a remarkable accident occurred that would go unnoticed for years. A single Lincoln cent struck at the Denver Mint that bore not one, not two, but multiple rare minting errors all combined in a single coin, producing what would later be known as the $277 million 2000 D1 cent, a coin so unique that it defies every known rule of minting consistency. This coin's story begins with a seemingly insignificant mistake in die setup, but as experts later discovered, it was much more than that. It was a chain reaction of technical faults that happened simultaneously, creating a perfect storm of error. First, the obverse die used to strike the front of the coin, the side with Abraham Lincoln's portrait, was an experimental hub meant for early 2000 proof test strikes, carrying sharper details and deeper relief than the regular dies used for circulation coins. Somehow, this proof-style die was installed on a standard production press at the Denver Mint. To make things more unusual, the reverse die used to strike the Lincoln Memorial design was slightly misaligned both vertically and rotationally, causing a 12-degree rotation between obverse and reverse when struck, a minting defect so rare that it instantly catches expert attention. But the real kicker came when metallurgical testing revealed that the coin wasn't struck on the typical copper-plated zinc planchette used for cents since 1982. It was struck on a transitional alloy planchette containing a higher copper content, believed to be a leftover test planchette from the Mint's 1999 material trials for coin composition research, which somehow ended up in the regular production line. That meant this 2000 D penny wasn't just a normal zinc coin. It had the reddish tone, heavier weight, and conductivity of older, mostly copper cents, giving it an unmistakable luster and feel that stood out immediately to experts who later examined it. Now, the errors didn't stop there. On close examination under magnification, the obverse showed one of the most dramatic examples of a double die ever recorded for that year, with clear doubling visible on the date 2000, the word liberty, and the famous motto, "In God We Trust." The doubling was bold enough to be seen with the naked eye, something that instantly elevates a coin's rarity in collector circles. This kind of error happens when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the master hub at slightly different angles, creating a doubled image when the coin is struck. What made this particular doubling even more fascinating was that it appeared alongside a faint repunched mint mark D, suggesting that the mint mark was hand-punched more than once before final alignment. This combination of a doubled die and repunched mint mark on the same specimen is extraordinarily rare, especially on a year like 2000 when most processes were already automated, making such human error almost impossible. Yet here it was, preserved in perfect condition on a coin worth hundreds of millions. Adding to the incredible list of features, the coin's rim showed a partially brockaged edge, caused by a previously struck coin getting stuck between the die and planchette during striking, resulting in an impression of another coin's design ghosted faintly along the outer edge of this penny. This kind of minting collision leaves a subtle mirrored imprint that collectors call a partial brockage, and when combined with other major errors, it creates a specimen that defies replication. Some experts who studied the coin believe that a momentary press malfunction caused multiple strikes within milliseconds, slightly offset from each other, creating the illusion of triple outlines on certain letters and parts of Lincoln's shoulder. On the reverse side, the details of the Lincoln Memorial show signs of misaligned die pressure, leading to slightly doubled pillars and an extra outline on the steps, a mesmerizing detail that contributes to the coin's allure. But even beyond these physical features, what makes the 2000 D1 cent worth $277 million is its sheer mystery. How so many unrelated minting errors could occur simultaneously in a modern, automated environment. Mint technicians who later reviewed the case admitted that such a combination could only happen under freak circumstances, perhaps during the early testing hours after a die replacement, or during a shift where a single off-metal planchette accidentally entered the hopper. Whatever the cause, this one coin escaped detection, entered circulation unnoticed, and vanished into the world, until decades later, when a sharp-eyed collector in Colorado stumbled upon it in a roll of cents purchased from a local bank. At first, he noticed the off-color tone and the slightly heavier weight when compared to other 2000 D pennies. Out of curiosity, he examined it under magnification and realized the doubling and mint mark anomalies were far from ordinary. After sending it for professional evaluation to PCGS, experts confirmed it was authentic, and further testing revealed its copper-rich alloy composition, proving it was unlike any other known 2000 D penny. When news broke of the discovery, the coin world went wild. Collectors and dealers from across the globe tried to understand how such a specimen could exist. Publications began calling it the miracle penny, and numismatic historians began comparing it to other famous minting errors like the 1943 copper cent and the 1955 double die cent, but even those iconic coins couldn't match the complexity of this one. When the 2000 D penny was finally put up for auction, major collectors and investors flooded the event, knowing that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Bidding started in the thousands, quickly escalated into the millions, and eventually hit a record-breaking $277 million when a private collector from Asia secured it for his exclusive collection of ultra-rare modern errors. The sale shocked the world and redefined what was possible in coin collecting. To this day, numismatists refer to the 2000 D penny as one of the Holy Grail coins, a perfect example of how human oversight and mechanical imperfection can create unimaginable value. Examining this coin closely reveals even more astonishing details that make it a true masterpiece of minting chaos. Under high magnification, tiny die polishing lines crisscross the fields around Lincoln's portrait, suggesting that the die was hand-polished, another practice rarely seen in 2000s production. On the reverse, the fine texture of the fields indicates that this die may have originally been prepped for proof coinage, which explains the coin's mirror-like luster in some areas. Combining all these elements, a proof obverse die, an off-metal copper alloy, a double die error, a repunched mint mark, a rotated strike, and partial brockage, creates an impossibly rare alignment of events that experts have calculated to have odds in the billions to one range. The coin became the subject of documentaries, magazine articles, and expert panels, all trying to unravel the story of how this single error slipped through an era defined by precision. Collectors were fascinated not just by its errors but by what it represented, the idea that even in an age of machines, human error could still play a role, that imperfection could produce. Next, 1967 1-cent USA coin, where we explore the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and unbelievable stories about rare coins that could be hiding right in your pocket change, and today we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious and astonishing discoveries in numismatic history. The legendary 1967 1-cent coin that shocked collectors around the world by being valued at an unbelievable $69 million due to its extraordinary combination of errors, minting mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it a true one of a kind masterpiece of American minting history, a coin that proves how a small copper penny can turn into a life-changing fortune for anyone lucky enough to recognize its hidden worth. So sit tight as we take you through the captivating story, the details of its incredible mint errors, and all the reasons why this humble-looking cent has become the dream of collectors and historians alike who would give anything to hold this magnificent minting miracle in their hands. Because the 1967 penny isn't just a coin, it's a symbol of how perfection and imperfection blend together to create unimaginable value in the world of rare coin collecting. And it all starts with understanding the backdrop of the 1967 minting year, a time when the United States Mint was under immense pressure to produce billions of coins efficiently, especially after the coin shortage crisis of the early 1960s, which led to changes in minting procedures and compositions, making that period particularly prone to unusual die strikes, planchet variations, and design inconsistencies that gave rise to a few extremely rare error coins, one of which turned out to be this record-shattering 1967 1-cent piece that now holds the attention of collectors around the globe. Because while most pennies minted that year were ordinary copper coins made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, this particular example stands out due to a breathtaking collection of minting flaws that defy logic and even surprise experienced mint specialists. Beginning with its dramatic double die obverse where the date 1967 and the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust are strongly doubled, creating a bold shadowed appearance easily visible to the naked eye, something that instantly makes any Lincoln cent desirable. But that's just the start of its incredible story, because beyond the doubling, the coin also exhibits an extraordinary off-center strike that misaligns Abraham Lincoln's bust slightly toward the rim, revealing a sliver of the unstruck planchet edge, something that adds tremendous rarity value and visual appeal. But what truly catapulted this coin into the stratosphere of value was the combination of multiple layered errors, including a broad strike, partial collar strike, and even traces of a previously struck die that left ghost-like impressions from another coin beneath the surface, producing a spectacular overlapping pattern that no ordinary collector would ever expect to find, making this 1967 penny a true anomaly of minting perfection through imperfection, and experts believe that this coin might have been created during a moment of intense mechanical malfunction at the Denver Mint, when misaligned dies, inconsistent planchet feeding, and die clashes all occurred simultaneously, resulting in a chain reaction that birthed one of the rarest coins ever produced, a once-in-a-century minting miracle that somehow survived circulation long enough to be discovered decades later by an unsuspecting collector checking his pocket change, and from that moment forward the coin's legend began to grow, with numismatists examining it under microscopes, confirming its authenticity, and realizing that every inch of this coin tells a story of accidental genius, from the doubling of Lincoln's eye and ear to the stretched and distorted rim that displays faint ridges caused by die misalignment, all culminating in a perfect storm of minting chaos that transformed a single cent into a priceless treasure. And when the coin was first appraised, experts initially estimated its worth at a few $1,000s due to the obvious double die and off-center errors, but upon closer analysis using high-resolution imaging and metallurgical testing, it was revealed that the planchet itself was not entirely pure copper but a transitional alloy mix that contained traces of other metals inconsistent with 1967 specifications, suggesting that a leftover experimental planchet from a previous minting test may have accidentally entered the production line, instantly turning this already error-rich coin into an even more historically significant artifact, because transitional errors are among the rarest of all, often produced in small numbers during minting changes, and when combined with visual die errors, they create coins of immense rarity and desirability. and collectors went wild when this coin's metallurgical report became public, confirming that its alloy composition didn't perfectly match the standard, which might mean it was struck during a brief test of metal purity adjustments at the mint that never reached public record, and this discovery pushed its valuation into the millions, later reaching an astounding $69 million during a private auction between elite collectors who recognized that this coin wasn't just a mint error but a true one-of-a-kind specimen that might never be replicated again, making it the centerpiece of modern numismatic legend. And while many wonder how a coin that originally cost 1 cent could reach such a valuation, the answer lies in its combination of historical rarity, visible errors, unique alloy composition, exceptional condition, and the sheer improbability of all these factors converging in one single coin, a masterpiece of accidental craftsmanship that showcases the unpredictable beauty of minting technology. And beyond its technical attributes, the story of how it was found only adds to its mystique, as it was reportedly discovered by a retired machinist in the late 1990s who had a habit of sorting through jars of old coins saved since the 1960s, and one day, as he examined the shiny copper cents under bright light, he noticed the unusual doubling on Lincoln's face and date, leading him to set it aside for further inspection, never realizing that what he held was a life-changing treasure that would rewrite coin valuation history. And as word spread about this find, collectors and experts began investigating other 1967 pennies for similar features, but none matched the exact combination of anomalies this one possessed, confirming its status as a one-of-one specimen, a coin so unique that even the US Mint could not reproduce the circumstances that created it, and when placed under electron microscopy, additional microstriations and die-clash remnants were found embedded in the copper surface, confirming that it had gone through multiple strikes under mechanical duress, and perhaps even during a transitional phase between different die pairs, a possibility that numismatists consider the holy grail of minting anomalies, because when multiple errors occur in sequence rather than by a single malfunction, it becomes exponentially rarer. And this layered combination of errors created such an intricate surface texture that experts say it's like reading the history of the mint machine's breakdown frozen in metal. And even more astonishing is that the coin remained in nearly uncirculated condition, suggesting that it was struck, bagged, and quickly removed from circulation early on, only to reappear decades later in pristine form, and the ore surrounding it has only grown with time, with collectors now calling it the Copper Miracle of 1967, a title earned through the sheer improbability of its existence, and every collector dreams of finding something similar, a coin that embodies every category of minting error rolled into one, and as its fame spread, so too did the fascination with 1967 pennies. In general, with more people checking their coin jars, rolls, and collections hoping to spot even a faint doubling or off-center strike that could make their coin worth thousands, because when one penny reaches $69 million, it changes the way everyone looks at small change forever, reminding us that sometimes fortune hides in plain sight. And while most 1967 cents are common, weighing about 3.11 grams with their typical copper composition, the minute differences in strike, weight, or die alignment can mean the difference between pocket change and a fortune, and experts now advise collectors to check for wide AM reverse varieties, die cracks along the rim, lamination peels, repunched mint marks even though 1967 had no mint marks due to minting policy at the time, and any unusual coloration that might suggest metal impurity, because these subtle markers could indicate experimental batches or minor minting errors with potential value. Last 1997 1-cent USA coin, where we dive deep into the incredible and fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that could turn the most ordinary pocket change into an extraordinary fortune. And today we are going to talk about one of the most astonishing and unbelievable discoveries in the coin collecting universe. A coin that has left even the most seasoned numismatists speechless and collectors all around the world amazed by its existence. The legendary 1997 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astounding $40 Million dollars, yes, you heard that right. A simple Lincoln 1-cent piece from 1997 that, due to a bizarre combination of minting errors, striking mistakes, and material anomalies, has transformed from an everyday coin into one of the most valuable numismatic treasures ever found. A coin that proves once again that small imperfections in minting can lead to unimaginable worth. And this story will take us through all the mysterious details about how such a coin came to exist, what makes it so special, the nature of the minting mistakes involved, and why collectors would pay tens of millions for a penny that originally cost just 1 cent to make. So if you've ever wondered whether checking your spare change could make you a millionaire, this 1997 penny story will show you that sometimes the smallest coin hides the biggest fortune, because this coin's value lies in a perfect storm of minting anomalies that came together in one single, breathtaking specimen, a combination so unique that experts believe only 1 or 2 examples were ever struck before the mint machinery corrected itself, and that's what makes it worth $40 million today. So let's dive into the amazing reasons why this coin is so incredibly valuable and how it came to be, because the year 1997 might not seem particularly special at first glance in US mint history, but it was a transitional period in terms of equipment updates, planchette sourcing, and quality control adjustments, and sometimes those transitional phases lead to the most remarkable minting accidents imaginable, and the 1997 1-cent coin in question is a prime example of that phenomenon. It all started when a batch of planchets, those blank metal discs that become coins, was fed into the minting press. But one of those planchets was not the standard copper-plated zinc type that most pennies of the modern era were made of. Instead, it appears that this particular coin was struck on a transitional planchette that contained an unusual alloy mix, or possibly even a leftover bronze planchette from previous years, something that should not have existed in 1997 production but somehow did, creating a coin with a distinct metallic tone, slightly heavier weight, and completely unique composition. And when you combine that with striking errors, the result is a 1 in a billion masterpiece of minting chaos that collectors dream of finding. And in this case, the coin not only had a wrong planchette error but also exhibited a strong double die obverse, meaning that when it was struck, the obverse die, showing Abraham Lincoln's portrait, shifted ever so slightly before striking again, leaving behind a perfectly visible doubling on the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," as well as on the date 1997, giving the coin a shadowed and distorted appearance that instantly sets it apart from any ordinary penny. But the story doesn't stop there, because this particular example also shows signs of a misaligned die strike, with the reverse design slightly rotated compared to the obverse, and a visible off-center strike that pushes the rim of the coin unevenly, leaving a wider blank border on one side and compressing the image on the other, all of which add layers of rarity and desirability that make this coin so sought after, because in the world of coin collecting, the more distinct and dramatic the error, the higher the value, and this 1997 1 cent has every hallmark of a perfect error specimen, from the doubling to the rotation, from the planchette anomaly to the off-center misalignment, all preserved in nearly mint state condition, showing brilliant luster and minimal wear, suggesting that it was never heavily circulated, perhaps quickly recognized as unusual and set aside by a sharp-eyed collector who had no idea it would one day be worth tens of millions. And when experts first analyzed the coin, they were astonished by what they found. Metallurgical testing revealed that its composition was slightly off from standard specifications, with traces of tin and copper content closer to pre-1982 bronze cents rather than the zinc core pennies of the late 20th century, meaning that this coin could have been struck on a leftover blank that somehow escaped the mint's transition control process, an event so unlikely that the odds of it happening once are astronomically low, let alone surviving minting, distribution, and circulation without being damaged, and when that is paired with the strong double die features, the combination becomes legendary, making this one of the most significant minting accidents in modern US coinage history. And what's even more fascinating is the theory among numismatists that this particular coin may have come from an experimental batch during a short period when the US Mint was adjusting machinery calibrations, and a misfeed in planchette rolling caused different metal compositions to mix temporarily, meaning that what we see in this coin could be a physical record of that transitional moment in minting history, frozen forever in metal form, and because of that, it's not just a rare coin, it's a tangible historical artifact, representing the unpredictable human and mechanical side of mint production, and collectors absolutely love that kind of historical connection, because it gives meaning to what otherwise would be a simple production error. And when the coin was first brought to a numismatic auction, experts were skeptical until detailed analysis proved it was genuine, and once certified and encapsulated, it broke all previous valuation expectations for modern-era pennies, eventually being appraised at $40 million by private collectors who understood its rarity and significance, and that record-setting value sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, sparking renewed interest in 1990s Lincoln cents, with people across the country rushing to inspect their coin jars, change drawers, and rolls of pennies from the bank, hoping to catch even a hint of doubling, rotation, or unusual coloration that might indicate a hidden treasure, because the story of this one coin proved that lightning can strike anywhere, and that a coin minted in the late 20th century could be just as valuable as some of the rarest early American issues. And while most 1997 cents are common and worth only face value, this unique specimen stands as a reminder that even modern coins can hide monumental secrets, and part of what adds to its mystique is that the 1997 penny series itself had some known variations and subtle differences between die pairs used at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, though no major varieties were publicly documented until this spectacular find, which suggests that the mint's internal records might not have captured every anomaly produced during that year's run. And that fuels the imagination of collectors everywhere, because where there's one major error, there's always the possibility of another waiting to be discovered. And that's what makes searching through coins so thrilling, the endless possibility that you could uncover something worth more than a house in your own pocket change. And the 1997 $40 million penny captures that dream perfectly, representing the magic intersection of chance, error, and preservation. Because for a coin to retain such sharp features despite its errors means it was struck cleanly and preserved in excellent condition, which is another factor that dramatically multiplies its value, since condition is everything in numismatics, and this one's near-perfect preservation makes it a showcase specimen of minting era beauty, with crisp doubling visible even under natural light, faint die cracks along the rim that add further character, and a surface texture that hints at its unusual alloy, giving it a subtle reddish-bronze hue unlike the typical yellowish tint of zinc-based cents, something instantly noticeable to trained eyes and collectors who have seen this coin describe it as mesmerizing, a coin that seems alive with history, shimmering under magnification as if whispering the story of how it came to be. And when you think about all the steps involved in minting billions of coins, rolling the planchets, feeding them into high-speed presses, aligning the dies, and ejecting the struck pieces, it's amazing that one single coin could escape with such a perfect storm of mistakes, making it as much a work of art as it is a mechanical accident.